The first brand new codex of 10th edition is finally on the way. It's been actually a couple of months, but it is finally here. And it is the Tyranids who are blessing us first. They are coming actually even before the Space Marines, which, I don't know, is kind of a little bit surprising, but they did win that campaign to get their models shown off first, so I guess that kind of makes sense. And as we all knew, like the indexes that we have at the moment, these codexes will have a system of detachments which give you your various benefits and buffs, as well as access to some unique enhancements and stratagems, so you can really build up and customize your force exactly as you want it to look and how you want it to play on the table. So it is a very, very customizable, adaptable system, which I do really, really like for 10th edition. I am pretty excited to see exactly what each detachment has in all the codexes and how they allow you to build different armies and playstyles and lists going through 10th edition. And the NID Codex is coming very soon. It's coming up for pre-order this weekend. And as usual, over the course of this week, GW are giving us some teasers and previews of what we can expect. Now, the indexes which came when 10th edition dropped, they had one detachment each, and it seems like the codexes are going to be expanding this quite significantly. The Tyranid one is going to have 5 additional detachments, for 6 in total, and as I mentioned, each one will bring a unique rule to the army, as well as 4 enhancements and 6 stratagems. Now, they do say that some of the index ones will be changing in various codexes, but for the NIDs it won't be. The main one from your index, the invasion fleet, is apparently staying as it is now, so if you do like that one and want to keep using it, you are still going to have access to it. You are still going to be able to use your army exactly as you have built and kind of designed it now. But of course, there are 5 new ones coming, and they've shown off a couple, so let's take a look at what is in store. The Crusher Stampede is for all your big, scary beasts and monstrous creatures. It comes with the detachment rule of Enraged Behemoths. This gives Tyranid monsters +1 to hit when they attack if they are below starting strength, and also +1 to wound if they are below half strength. So as soon as your monsters start getting hurt, they just get better at killing. And if you have, say, a Carnifex or an Exocrine or a Hive Tyrant on 1 or 2 wounds left, and they start shooting or get into combat, it's going to be a really, really scary prospect for your opponent, because they're going to be hitting and wounding most things on 2s or 3s at worst. So they're going to be able to do a huge amount of damage if your opponent leaves them alive on just a couple of wounds left. So your opponent is going to really have to try to take down one model, one unit at a time, or else they're basically just going to buff it and make it even stronger before they do finally kill it. It's a very cool detachment rule. I would say arguably it's maybe not as good as the invasion fleet, because it is specifically just monsters, and I do really quite like the customization and the adaptability of the invasion fleet's rule depending on what you're going up against. But I do think this rule is okay, and if you are running a Nidzilla style army and you like running all the big monsters, this will absolutely buff pretty much everything you are going to be bringing in your list. So it's very, very strong if that's what you're going for, and it's also very thematic and cool and fluffy, and means that as your army takes more damage, your big monsters just get stronger and stronger and stronger until your opponent finally does take them out. We also got to see a Crusher Stampede enhancement. Ominous Presence gives a monster +3 to its OC value, which is nothing super exciting. I mean, it does help. It means things like your Hive Tyrants are going to be going up to OC 6, so it could potentially help you nab objectives from 5-man squads that are OC 1 and that sort of thing. But it's not particularly exciting. I feel like they could have shown off a cooler one in this preview. I don't think, unless the other ones are really, really bad, it's going to be the go-to enhancement choice when you are bringing a Crusher Stampede detachment. It's just a little bit dull, I think. What, in my opinion, is even more exciting and cool is the new Vanguard Onslaught detachment. They teased this a little while ago when they showed off the new Lictors and the Death Leaper and all that kind of stuff, and this is for your stealthy, sneaky, get behind enemy lines style list, which is exactly how I love my Nids to be anyway. And this actually gives you 2 bonuses. The first is just that your Death Leaper can be your Warlord, and it loses the Hunter Organism rule. So this is just a bit of housekeeping more than anything, but it does mean that your Vanguard force can be led by the Death Leaper, which is very, very cool and thematic and fluffy and fitting for his stunning new model. So that's a great little benefit just in and of itself. But the main bonus that this detachment brings is questing tendrils. And what this does is it gives you a really strong army-wide buff. It lets all Tyranid units fall back and charge, and then it lets your Vanguard Invader units, so this is going to be things like your Lictors, your Von Ryans, the Leapers, your Gene Stealers, and apparently most of your flying creatures, they also get to advance and charge. So you can, with this detachment, have a really fast moving force that can advance and still charge, so you can get straight into the enemy's face, and then it can also fall back and still charge, so it's going to be a really tricky, sneaky, slippery army that your opponent will struggle to pin down and engage effectively. You can pretty much do all of your fights on your own terms and just fight exactly where you need to against the unit that you really need to. So I think this is going to be really, really strong, to be honest. Having an army of Gene Stealers, Lictors, and flying units and other fast moving stuff is just going to make a fantastic pressure list to just bring the fight to your enemy's deployment zone almost before they can even react. We also got to see an enhancement and a stratagem for the Vanguard Onslaught. Chameleonic gives the bearer the stealth ability and also gives the unit that it joins the benefit of cover. So again, this is really going to help you get up into the enemy's battle lines safely. It's going to keep your leader unit alive with stealth a bit longer, but also making your squad even more durable thanks to that extra cover is a really strong bonus too. Something like a Broodlord with a unit of Gene Stealers is going to make great use of this, moving up the board blisteringly fast, getting all those solid bonuses of advance and charge and everything, as well as now basically having moving cover to help them stay alive that much longer. A unit of Gene Stealers with a Broodlord is going to have an 8-inch scout and probably a turn 1 charge with advance and charge, and they're going to be much more durable against enemy firepower thanks to having that extra bonus of cover as they move into position. And then finally on the stratagem front, we get a nice cheap 1 CP stratagem in Assassin Beasts. This is used in the fight phase and gives a Vanguard Invader infantry unit the precision rule. So again, those Gene Stealers we just mentioned with a potential turn 1 charge, just point them at the enemy Warlord's unit, dive in, and you can potentially obliterate him and the unit with 30 or 40 precision attacks in turn 1. It is a super strong, super solid stratagem for a unit in a detachment that can really quite easily get into combat quickly, and it's going to mean that no enemy leader, no enemy HQ is going to be safe from your army. For one command point, being able to take out a key enemy character exactly when you need to is just so powerful, and I can really see this stratagem being used in this huge turn 1 advance and charge burst of melee into an enemy unit to just hamstring your opponent's battle plans right as the game begins. I think of the two we've seen today, the Vanguard is stronger than the Crusher Stampede for how I would build my list anyway. As I said, if you are going heavy on the monsters and you want to do a Nidzilla list, the Crusher Stampede does have a lot of power for you in that style of army. And then we also got the names of some of the other detachments, the Unending Swarm being lots of smaller Gribblies presumably. The Assimilation Swarm seems to be one focused on consuming biomass, so it mentions things like Haraspexes and the like. And then the Synaptic Nexus is of course going to be focused around psychic shenanigans, so lots of Malanthropes and Zoanthropes and even the new Norn Emissaries will probably get quite a buff in that detachment. But that is going to be it for today. The new detachments are looking rather spicy, I think, and I do, as I mentioned, love that you really can customize your army so much more effectively and easily than you ever could in previous editions of 40k now. I can't wait to see some of the army list ideas that come alongside the Crusher Stampede and the Vanguard Onslaught detachments and what people put into them to make best use of the buffs and enhancements from them. As I said, I think the Vanguard Onslaught is going to be slightly more popular in general, and I think it is, based on what we've seen so far, going to be a really solid strong one in terms of the rules and the playstyle as we go further into 10th edition. But as always, what do you make of these previews? Do you prefer the Vanguard or the Crusher Stampede? Or do you think the Invasion fleet will still be the go-to option? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later guys.